like that, unless you're facing, kind of junk defenses. Usually I see everything, the pictures really well, and I was able to get wherever I want on the floor. Sometimes that means shots. Sometimes it means, just making a simple play, finding the open guy. And that was kind of just the vibe. Like you said, it was just a flow. Every possession seemed like we got whatever we wanted. And it came off of stops. That was how we were kind of flowing. So it was a fun way to play for sure.
Steph, I know you don't care what people say about this team, but 9-1 now. This team's been now starting to be discussed as possibly one of the top teams in the West for the first time in a little while. You hear that? Is it good to hear that? Is it kind of important to hear that in the locker room and to kind of confirm maybe some things that you thought about this team at the beginning of the season?
It's obviously great to hear, but it doesn't influence how we think about ourselves or how we thought about ourselves coming into the season. You want to get off to a good start, and anytime you're talking about, being championship contenders and all that, like, you can't win a championship in November, but you sure can take yourself out of the equation pretty quickly. And, a lot like last year. So, you want to be trending in the right direction. We're obviously only 10 games in and a lot of season left, but you want to be a threat every single night to win games, no matter who you're playing. And I think we're in that position now. And then, as we get off this homestand and get back on the road and, play some teams at the top of the standings, do what we do, and continue to prove that. So that's the mentality. But it is nice to be, in this position.
Steph, first of all, what happened with your shoulder?
Kind of got jammed on the screen. Similar thing that happened in like the last preseason game, but just a little tweaking was fine.
No, you get any treatment after?
No, it's almost identical. I know how it responds, so it's one of those kind of wake you up type of feelings, and then no harm, no foul, no.
And secondly, when do you know that it's going to be one of these type of nights?
It's kind of hard to say. Obviously you made the first two, and they both, the rhythm and the way the ball comes off your hand feels good, but you kind of just stay in the moment, and every possession it starts to, kind of build on the previous one. And maybe going into the half, the shot that, got us within 4, and the way the game had gone, you carry that momentum into the locker room and come out in the third quarter. That's when you kind of start to wait for the avalanche to fall, and it did.
What changed schematically defensively to help you guys in the second half?
We tried different looks on the pick and roll with Trey because, he had every option in the first half. He was scoring the ball. He was playmaking. He had a lot of space to operate, and they're pretty talented because they have size. John Collins can shoot. He can space a little bit, and he can punish you in the paint. And then they have 2 other shooters out there. So if you let him kind of roam around and get his offense and play make, he's tough. And so we try to take one of those away in the second half. And GP was awesome. I know he had fouls, but he made his presence felt. And then I think we tried a little gimmick defense on our own to try to slow the rhythm down a little bit. So it worked. And, on a night to night, you got to be able to make those adjustments on the fly, especially against a player as dynamic as he was or is and was in the first half.
How did you feel knowing you were putting a box and one on the other team?
It.
You did?
It's great to be on the elbow instead of trying to run around myself.
Steph said a few days ago that you were kind of under the weather, and I'm just wondering, was it just some mild illness, and how are you feeling now?
I felt good. It was kind of one of those little, like congestion type thing. It was hard to breathe, and the energy is kind of a little down. But felt great. been able to get a little bit of rest and, still be out there and still do what I do and try to influence games. And then, I feel way better now. So obviously it showed.
You said in the past that sometimes there's no relationship between how pregame goes and what happens in the game. Tonight, was there any relationship at all between pregame feel and the game?
A little bit. I had a conversation with Bruce Frazier, aka Q, and we kind of talked about certain preparations into my shot and just some certain mechanics that he called it. I need you to have a little bit more conviction about, when it's time to shoot, and just a little seed he planted and took that in the warm-ups and the rest of the game. So he's very timely with those words of wisdom. He's the most interesting man on the bench. So needed that tonight.
Steph, along those lines, Steve said you still love the process every day. And whether that means spending more time in the trainer's room at this stage in your career, that you still... What?
I said, or not.
Or not.
Everything else to stay out of there.
Exactly. Different things that you have to do to get your body ready, maybe. Do you still love the process that way? And what do you like before the games when you're just entertaining the fans and along what Monty asked?
It's part of the science of everything that gets you ready for, the season, for every game. And I was talking to Wise and JK about that because maybe 3-4 years in, you start to really figure out what works for you in terms of what that, level of preparation means. And then as you go through your career, you kind of fine tune it a little bit. But a lot of it, to your point, is just understanding I'm blessed to play this game, feel healthy. Guys put me in a position where I still have joy and love what I do and who I get to do it with and, who we get to play in front of and all that. So whatever it takes to, maintain that. And I have a pretty good understanding, good clarity around what that is. It's what you rely on, especially through 82 games, because it's a lot. So you kind of get lost in the process, and it keeps reaping benefits. So you stick with it.
Steph, how locked in are you on the other elements of your game? Defense, passing, leadership, talking. How do you feel in those areas?
Feel good. I mean, the momentum of everything that we're doing as a team continues to feed on itself. And, with Wiggs, Draymond, Loon, and that starting lineup, me and JP have to, make our presence felt on defense and do our job. It's mostly just, being focused and having effort on, that end of the floor. And I think we're showing that. JP's been awesome, making, positive strides in terms of taking on those challenges on one-on-one defense and in our team concepts and all that. And, I'm trying to demonstrate what that looks like on a night-to-night. And then everything else is just, being as present and observant as possible on, what's happening in the locker room and practice and, making sure we're all on the same page and what we're trying to do. So I feel locked in all the way around.
Do you feel like this is the best you've been all around?
I mean, yeah, it should be. Just keep learning from years past and keep adding on, different layers to who I am as a person and basketball player and all that. So maybe Andre's like the Wizard of Oz in the locker room in terms of, his presence and all that. But I feel like I have a lot to offer as well on that front.
Steph, those third quarter runs used to kind of be a trademark of this team, and it's been a little weird the last couple of years without fans and stuff like that. Tonight, when you get it going like that, people are saying on Twitter and watching the game, this feels like the old Warriors. Obviously different team, obviously different circumstances, but you kind of get that throwback to Oracle when things are going like that.
Yeah, Chase is starting to pick up a spirit of its own. It's an unfair comparison to Oracle, honestly, but we're trying to put ourselves in a position where we're winning games, protecting home court, where we can develop a new identity of what this building means in terms of home court advantage. So, we had 3 championships in that building. We want to try to get one in here, but it's a work in progress, and it does make a huge difference having, a sold out arena and that buzz and energy. You talk to the opposing players who come in, they've been on the other side of that and feeling pretty comfortable coming in this building, in the last couple of years, and they've noticed, how much of a difference it makes. So it helps for sure.
Can you go back to Andre being the Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain? Is he pulling the strings the way he used to, like vintage Andre?
He's wearing a lot of hats right now. So he's and we always talked about with him, like, it wasn't just him coming back to do that. It's what he can provide on the court as well. And he's showing that, when he's out there. So huge having him back for sure.
In that hot third quarter, it was you and Draymond and Andre on the floor together. Did that feel like old times? And what is the communication between you guys so good it's not even verbal?
For the most part, there was that one play in transition where I came down in the middle of the floor and I felt somebody coming, and I saw it was Draymond at the last second. So I dropped it off to him, and he throws a lob to Andre. And I smiled on that possession because it was kind of a blast from the past type moment. And we've had a couple of those. And obviously we're patiently waiting for number 11 to come back too. So it'll be even better. But there's that familiarity, obviously, and the comfort level of knowing how much this matters to us all to try to get back to that level.
Andre dunked 3 times.
Did he really? He had a day off yesterday, so it worked.